Anyway, all right, what's going on, everybody? This is a surprise political education class. We got something special planned for this, but we want to do something. I know we're taking kind of a long break. We do it every second and fourth Friday, so of the month. So we just wanted to keep people up to date and keep people engaged by doing a short class. And this is a topic that I think is very important to our movements. Historically, this was something that we established a tradition in community movement builders through the Political Education and Cultural Committee. We established a tradition of naming folks. So, you might go in an organization, you might see a couple of people with African names. I myself got ones I hear Oladuni Mobalaji Ture. And so this was actually the first article I used in one of our very first classes long time ago to introduce the concept and get some thought and some historical narrative behind it. So for those who don't know, maybe a history of why we do this or why we think it is important. And so I always like to start off by just asking people any general thoughts about the reading. There's only four of us now, so everybody got to jump back up.
Yeah, I just say real quick. The reading was interesting. I like how the author seemed to be very nuanced about the different perspectives. He gave historical examples, basically of all sides of the coin. People who didn't change their name, who did, different thoughts about it from political leaders in different organizations, like the Black Panther Party and the US organization. So I think it was good. I think it was nuanced, and I liked it.
I believe he wrote the book. He wrote that one book, I think, New African History, Edward Anansi. So I'd have to look that up. But that's one of the things I liked about it too, is he took a few aspects of different changes on there. And one of the first things I saw when we first start here, he said during the 60s and 70s, many Black Power activists joined Muhammad Ali by developing strategies intended to overcome past and present racial oppression. They recognized that full liberation extended beyond legal and social gains. It included the ability to exercise self-determination and affirmation of their humanity on their own terms. Therefore, like Ali, many Black men and women made decisions about personal identifiers and surnames that reflected the complicated pursuit of self-determination. So I want to ask everybody like how they feel about name changing, like because there was a part in the article where some folks were saying, well, it doesn't really have revolutionary potential, but I just want to get the general thoughts, what people's opinion was on the importance of changing the name, or whether you agree or disagree that it's something meaningful that we should do.
I say real quick that I do think it's important for some people to embrace certain practices like name changing. So it's not anything that I would ever be against. Like, for example, he mentioned in the article that someone, I forget who it was, but he stated that embracing African culture could be counter revolutionary. I can understand that embracing it and without being critical could be, but I don't see how African people trying to be who they are, which is African, can ever be counter-revolutionary. Um, so although I don't necessarily think it's a necessity, I can understand how some people may need it, because some people need to wear the clothes, um, need to practice the traditional spiritualities. They need those type of things. Everyone may not need that, but I would never be against those who do.
Or I know for me, it represents a type of psychological decolonization. Like, it's because sometimes we get overwhelmed. We start reading all of this stuff. We start reading white supremacy and global capitalism. And it's like, well, what can you do? And one thing you could do is at least change your name. And that's like a first step to decolonization, right? So that's one of the main things I like about it.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was off mute. I'm sorry. I was go back on mute.
Well, I guess we can kind of jump into it though. Yafe, you want to explain your history with your name and everything that you did?
Right. So I chose the name Yafael by Lagoon. Um, I chose that. We chose by Lagoon because of, at the time, kind of what we felt that our role in the community was. Not when I mean our role, I mean some things that we were engaged in as a collective group. And so collectively, folks identified with Balagoon. Um, it was some other folks that did, but I actually went through the legal process of actually doing it. And I've actually coached others as far as the state of Texas, the process on how to do it. To this day, I've assisted maybe 2 or 3 people. Y'all be quiet. Y'all be quiet. I've assisted by 2 or 3 people that I know change their name, and I got another one that's going to change their name now. But I've always encouraged it, and for me, it was pretty uplifting because, for the most part, I've given my kids this sort of identity. Not necessarily, I don't want to say to force anything on them per se, but I would say that I feel that they at least advantage and have different options that other kids may not have, because they can have a certain perspective that some kids don't get a chance to understand. So for me, it's been beneficial, um, and that's what I like to say. And I'm an advocate for people actually to not only identify with certain names, but to actually go through the legal process. I know folks don't like going to white folks and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but I think it's important because uh, take my dad for example, who legally changed his name as well. When you when you pass on and you got this headstone, like would you want people to remember you going forward? Seems like they remember you based upon whatever that headstone say, for the most part. Uh, and so that's what I say to folks, and that's why I did it. Folks, some folks say, man, you went to white folks and you paid $253 and did fingerprints and sent it down to the state capitol, and then you had to go stand in front of the judge. uh, One of my sons, it's funny that we're talking about now. One of my sons actually did the process this week. He actually legally changed his name this week. So as we talking about it, that's something that we actually did. He went and stood in front of the court this past Monday, and got his name changed, and I got an affidavit because he's always felt he was that person per se that he identified with. Now he has an option and an opportunity. If he wants to pass it on, he can do that, or if he want to identify another way, he can. But I just think that's important to have that type of flexibility. As far as a name change process. And then especially us identifying as Black people, African people, or whatever you identify yourself as, I think it's important that we try to spread that to as many of our family members as possible. Because I've gotten even family members, even though they hadn't legally changed their name, I got one of my cousins, 28. He on Facebook, he's going by the name Jay Balagoon, So people pick it up, they get the concept, you know what I mean? He might not ever go through the whole name change process. I don't think he will, because he on some other stuff, but at least he showed that he respected it enough to identify with that, at least for social media purposes.
Do you think do you think it's like a major step? I know you're talking about it, but like, because some people do the legal change. I mean, do you think that's something everybody needs to pursue? Like,
I think it's up to the individual. I think it's up to the individual for their family circumstances. I think for me it works because my family has done that sort of thing before. I come from a line of people that's at least 4 or 5 other relatives have done that before. So uh, it wasn't a whole new concept. And so I guess it really depends upon that. And then understanding, a lot of us, I feel, maybe not people in this circle per se, but a lot of folks are kind of fearful of having to stand before the court. and they all of a sudden they think that a judge is gonna tell them no or whatnot, and the judge is pretty much just gonna be just the officer of the court, and he or she is nothing gonna do nothing more than have you, at least in the state of Texas, just read a statement as to your name change and basically stamp it. So I think it's I think it's a good thing. I think that it's definitely a first step. For some people, it may be a last step though, because a lot of us come into consciousness and we experience certain things, and then we start identifying a certain way that may be different than others. Then that last step is, you know what, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be going forward. And if you got kids, hopefully they're young enough to where you can reflect on them as well, in which I was fortunate enough to have done it, because I see a couple of my kids may or may not go a certain direction, but I've kind of pushed them a certain way. Again, not to force it on them, but it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you said something deep, man. You said when it's on a gravestone, that's how they're gonna identify you. That's one of the reasons I wanted to change my name too, man, because I was thinking like right after I got out, I was thinking when I was in the army, I was like, man, if you get shot and killed in Iraq, they gonna tell you a patriot that fought for your country. You know what I mean? And that don't reflect me at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to fight for the liberation of African people, but so you got to do what you got to do to really represent, I feel like, who you are. So but Kwasi, I wanted you to speak too on that process of changing the legal name, and do you like why did you go through that extra step? And what's your history with changing your name?
Peace and greetings to everyone here today, and I was out here. Thank you for the invitation. Everybody gave some really good insight, and it's all important and necessary. I wanted to real quick just share, if I could. Can I share my screen? Can I share
Um,
my screen?
I'd have to figure out how to do that. Uh,
Sorry to hold this up.
Hold on. Try it now.
Let's see. Screen share. There we go. Share. Can y'all see that? Can y'all
Uh,
see the image?
no, I don't
No, I
see
don't
it.
see it. Let me
Uh,
share. It didn't allow it. Still not working.
nah.
Looks like I can see it now. I had to go to the top of where it says view options, and I had to click on his name to view it. So when he shares his screen at the top of our screens, it would say view options, and you should see Zaire's name and also his name. And then you can click on his name to see it. Well, let me see. Because right now I see a picture of looks like him and his family. Um, looks like they're
Okay.
It's not working. Jadorian, you got it. Yeah, I got it. I see it. I was just sharing the photo my family took in the courtroom, actually with the judge, and we had one witness, a good elder friend of ours, my wife, and my two sons, and we came to court in African garments. Everybody look at us all crazy, but we're in South Carolina, so we wanted to represent for our culture. They ask you, why do you want to change your name? That's part of the application process in this state. And we put on applications to honor our ancestors and reclaim our African identity. Like, it's funny to think about it because you know you have all these white folk in the courtroom. They're looking at you like, "Oh, okay, all right, all right, no harm done there." And you know the process moves along pretty quickly. Um, one thing that we did as a family, though, my 11-year-old son, um, he's not my biological child, so not only did we change his name, but I also did an adoption, which you know made the process easier. So um, our child, our 4-year-old child, the 4-year-old, he's born with an African name, um, and my wife and I and our 11-year-old, we all had to go through that legal process. Each one doing the application and turning it into the court, going before the court. It's a very easy process. It doesn't take a lot of time. It took a few months during the pandemic, which made it take a little bit more longer than it normally would. And you do have to pay for it. And when people question about changing the name and why is it important, you know, I always say, you know, where did you get the last name that you have? Where did it come from? Who gave you the name? And what does it mean? Which is even more important. What does the name actually mean? My birth name was a combination of two Arab names because my father was in the nation growing up. And then my last name, which comes from my mother, Thornton. And Thornton is it's like an English name. It has no, it has no connection to who we are, right? So for me, it was very easy to give it up. But when you ask the question, though, you know, where'd your name come from? When we ask the question, we have to go back generation after generation to the enslavement. And African enslavement, you didn't have a choice. You were given a name to distinguish you as this people's property. So if you just let that soak in, you have the last name, not of your white relatives, but of a family that owned your great grandparents or great 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 grandparents. So if you consciously understand that, you don't even have to be African centered or nationalist or anything, but just think about the idea. I'm literally passing on the name of someone who owned and possibly brutalized my grandparents. That should be a pause right there in itself. Um, so I tell everyone, um, if you're serious, and everyone has their own idea what seriousness is, if you're serious about this journey, the first act of agency to say that I have some kind of power is to say, I'm going to give up this name that was forced on my family through a brutal enslavement process. I'm going to give it up and I'm going to claim an African identity for myself. And I'm going to be remembered as this person. And my children are going to be remembered. And everyone in the community who knows me, they're going to remember me by this name and what it means.
Powerful, man. I think that was when you said property, like your name is somebody's property. That hit home for me because that's so true. Because not only is it property, this is somebody who owned, raped, brutalized your family. Like they, so if you, I mean, that to me alone is enough that we all should just be trained in our names. You know, I understand that some people take pride that's the name that their mother gave them, but you trace the history, you go all the way back. You know, you getting that name from a murderer, a rapist, a slave owner. I mean, it's like it's funny because I seen some people that identify with, I think it is with Thomas Jefferson or something, you know, and they love to say we are descendants of him. You know, it's like a famous black family, you know, but it's like, so you're proud of being descendant of a rapist or something, you know. But I think what you said is powerful, man. Using the name to as a form of self-determination. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do it too. Sundiata, you got anything you want to add? I don't know if he's there. Ah, he might be. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the conversation that everybody's having. I'm getting a lot of insight on the importance of having an African name. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. We hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'm having getting a lot of insight. For me, uh, I don't have no problem with it. I don't want to be alone in the matter. I wish that as people, as everybody, anybody, let me start over. Everybody that's in this chat room, I wish we stayed closer and that we actually have a tribe and community. Like I don't have a problem with it. I just don't want to be alone with it. You know, I would like to have the connection with the meaning, the purpose of having African names. You know, I want to be, I want to be, I want it to be more than just personal to me. That I want to be included to a tribe. And that's for me. Like I want to be included to it. I want to be added on to a community. You know that, and that's my personal feelings.
Can I respond?
Yep. Yep. Go ahead.
Yes, brother. Your name's Sundiata? Is that brother Sundiata?
Yes,
All right. I'm Quasi. Good to meet you, brother. And
peace, brother.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And I'll tell you why I understand and I can relate because my wife and I we joined a small community in the Carolinas, and out of maybe what started with like a dozen people and then dwindled down to maybe 5 or 6 other people. We're the only ones who legally changed our names. We're the only ones who went through that process, changing our identity. And I don't have a lot of close family, but my wife does. My wife comes from a Southern family that's very close knit. Like every weekend they get together, and everybody thought that this was the craziest thing. Like I had mind control over her or something. Like, why are you changing your name? Like, why are you like what? And some of them even like, well, I'm not calling you that name. You was born Susie. You you always gonna be Susie. And it took a while for people to accept it and embrace it. And now, everyone uses our names. It took a while. Some of the elders, of course, the elders like, Kwasi. I can't say that. You Jimmy. You're gonna always be Jimmy, and you just gotta roll with that. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Having a collective, or even if it's just a few of y'all in the same area where you can relate and exchange ideas, it really helps to keep you grounded and focused and keep you proud. Um, Jadorian said something to the effect that the name change is a revolutionary act. And it really is. It's an interpersonal revolutionary act because you literally are going against the grain. You're going against everybody. You're not just going against, white domination or white rule, former enslavement. You're going against your family, your friends, your community of people that you have who don't understand what you're doing. So you have to be prepared to deal with the repercussions. I've seen people change their name legally and then go back and change it back to their birth name because they felt disconnected. They may have had a purpose at one point and then they changed. Uh, Brothers and sisters who were in the nation of God's and earth changed their name to Allah Foundation, while they were in prison, go through the paperwork, and then get out of prison and realize like nobody cares about Allah or his foundation. So I'm gonna go back to being Jimmy Johnson. And I'm yeah, seriously, I'm not like it's for real.
Right, right, right.
So yeah, you make a very valid point, and that's something. It's something to consider. But this is and that's why this is so important, because it's not a simple thing of just changing your name. You're changing who you are. You're changing your identity and how the world's going to perceive you.
I think this is a perfect segue to really start. You know, one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this, man. And I brought everybody here, and I wanted to tell these stories because, like I said, in CNB, we did start a tradition. Our brother Sundiato just spoke. We did a naming ceremony for him, Sundiato Shakur, and I wanted to do this again. I wanted to bring forth a new African name for somebody that I think we all appreciate, who's been dedicated and who's shown up here time and time again, has dedicated themselves to political education, and that's Jadorian, man. I think we got to honor the brother for his dedication, for what he's brought to CMB, being somebody from St. Louis who's always showed up and has kept it real. You know, always been a scholar, and what I would call a warrior for this cause, man. So me and my wife, we got together, we got in this book here, the African Book of Names, and we said we're gonna give Brother Jadorian an African name, man. So Jadorian, you ready for the name? Now, mind you, right? You always got to accept it if you want, but I think this is for us. It's about saying we want to do this community. We want to bring people in. So let's do a. Can we do a drum roll?
Hold, time out.
Okay.
In African tradition, in just about every African tradition, you go all over the continent. It's important to invite the ancestors, especially during these ceremonies. So, if I could be excused, I'll get a glass of water and I'll do a libation, so that way the brother Jadorian can call his ancestors to be present as well.
Hey, perfect. Let's do it. Let's do it the right way.
I was not expecting this.
Hey, listen. Well, I said, man, we got to get him on there. I said, last week when I spoke to you, I said, man, we got to make sure he's on there. That's why I kept texting you, man. I was like, man, let's make sure he's on there, because it ain't going to be right if he ain't on there.
You also didn't talk about his dedication. I mean, he's just.
I got it. It's on mute. So
he's been one of the consistent for like 2.5 years.
My wife giving you praises, man. So there you go.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I mean, you talk about every Friday.
He's been on there, right? Yeah, it hit me last week. I'm like, man, we need to give the brother a name, man.
Yes.
So
even when we had time wrong and he was coming from work and there was just never an excuse, there was just always dedication. So
that's why she was nosy. She wanted to come in here and see this. For sure, man. We got man. You know, yeah. All right.
Now I'm a con by trade, so I'm gonna start it in treaty and then go into English. I got some liquor. The importance of that strong drink is this is a very strong occurrence. It's a situation where we want the most powerful of our ancestors to be present. And the strong drink or the wine or liquor is a preference in times of great need and strength. Otherwise, we use water. So, Jadorian, this is for you. When I call your name, you just call the names of your ancestors who you know to be present. Okay? Yes. Arade and Yonkupon. Trade Ponkwame. Michero Inshu. Asasaya Inshu. Minano no min samanso Inshu. Burpon Ta Pera Inshu. Tano Inshu. For all of the lakes and rivers in the United States of America that our great ancestors used to survive, for all of the ancestors who survived the Ma'afa, the great occurrence, to be here that we may continue to have life. We give thanks to you. We give drink. For my own ancestors, names known, those lost and forgotten, we give thanks. Jajorian, call the names of your ancestors. Yes, I give honor and respect to my father, Lorenzo.
Anshu.
Honor and respect to my auntie Merlin.
Anshu.
And honor and respect to my grandma Ruby.
Anshu.
And all the other ancestors who I may not know, but without I wouldn't be here.
Anshu.
Honor and respect.
Anshu. Would anyone else like to call any ancestors?
I'm gonna call out some revolutionary ancestors. Malcolm X,
Anshu.
Dr. John J. Clark,
Anshu.
Tupac Amaru Shakur,
Anshu.
W.E.B. Du Bois,
Anshu.
Marcus Garvey,
Anshu. Call on all these righteous ancestors, those who lived righteous lives, and we ask that your presence is here. Jadorian is going to take on a new African name. He's going to take on a new identity. He has proven himself to be a valuable asset to us all. This is a great occurrence, and we hope and we pray and we trust that Jadorian will live up to whatever name he's given today, whatever is bestowed upon him, and continue to live it righteously. We ask that each and every person here today continues to live in power and full love, unity, and strength for all African people. We say Medasi, Medasi, Medasi. All right. Drum roll. Bring it on.
Drum roll, please. All right. So we give the name. I don't know if you guys can see this. I just wrote it down. Don't look at the pictures, but it's Bomani Akil Chumaringa, right? And so Bomani, of course, is warrior. Akil, intelligent, one who uses reason, and Chimarenga is a revolutionary struggle, or in our book here that I showed everybody, it means fighting for one's country. So the way I interpret that was a warrior who uses reasons to fight for his country. So what I figure is that Black nation, because I know you're a serious Garveyite, so I know you fighting for the African people, the African nation. So I felt like Bomani killed a warrior who uses reason to fight for one's nation. I feel like is the best title to give, but of course it's always up to you to accept.
Absolutely, I accept. Thank you, brother. I'm honored. I appreciate it.
That's good, man. I feel like that was good. That was good. Oh man. So for sure, man. I thought that this was a good ceremony, man. We how you guys feel about that, man? Jadoya, how you feel? Or I should say Bomani Akil Chumaringa. How you feel?
Bomani.
Yeah, man. I feel good. I feel proud. Surprised.
You hungry?
Yeah. Thankful.
No foul. This one's for you, Bomani.
Thank you.
All right. Yep. So, with that being said, I know I just wanted to do something short just for everybody, So thank you guys for coming. I thought this was good, just to not only go through the theory, but then apply it to practice, man. This is important, theory and practice. Whether we on Zoom or we out there in real life on the ground, we should always do theory and practice. So thank you for the libation, brother. That was a good libation. Yafael, what's up, man?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
That's a good ceremony, man. We gotta make this a CMP thing.
I'm like brother Obama. I wasn't expecting that neither. I'm like the brother, but I can relate to the other brother who said he brought his family before. So it's I can relate wholeheartedly. That I don't know if you were like me. I was kind of nervous going through just filing, and at least in the state of Texas, you got to do the fingerprints and then go and stand in front of the judge. I didn't have much of a support group. I did it on my own, just walking in, and I thought it was gonna be worse. People think it's gonna be worse than what it actually is. It's actually just pretty simple, a simple process, really. I guess it depends on the state though, but
Yeah, it was one challenge, the only challenge because I had a felony. And I don't want to take away Bomani's shine, but today I actually got granted a pardon from my felony conviction today.
that's
Um,
what's up.
yeah, congrats.
So it was so go ahead, brother.
Having a felony record was the only thing that held up the process for me. Like my wife could have went on ahead and did hers early, but this one judge, she was like, look, I ain't trying to be nasty or nothing, but I don't know that if changing your name is gonna remove your record. So she rescheduled the hearing, and that just pushed it back like almost another year because of COVID. Other than that, we would have been in and out of that process in like 90 days.
Right, right. So if you don't mind me kind of getting personal, and I don't want to get too personal with you, but the governor of the state of California, you said South Carolina, the governor of South Carolina gave you a pardon. That's good.
Yeah, that took about right at 7 or 8 months. I did the application by myself. I had a bunch of people write letters and do interviews, and it's been 16 years since I was released. I
That's
did.
what's up, brother.
I was in there for 7, got out, and just recently I decided, for the last couple of years, I need to do a lot more than what I'm doing, and so this is part of that process.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Dope.
It's 2 things to celebrate.
Yeah,
Major.
yeah.
Got a pardon from the governor.
And a new name. I wish we could do more, to Brother Sundiata's point. Naming is really huge. Like our baby got a chance to have a full African ceremony and get his name at birth. It was the most beautiful thing. My wife and I did a naming ceremony, but it's nothing like having people present to go through rituals. Like we had to take herbal baths. We had to do these libations several times. We had to eat certain foods. It's just an amazing thing. So yeah, back to Brother Sundiata again. Like these things are so important. So I really appreciate Zahir for bringing it together, even though we don't all know each other and not present with each other. We're still able to share. So, thank you, Zahir.
Yeah, they went through some ceremonies in this book too. I think that they tried to do establish like a new African one too, from the RNA Republic of New Africa. I'm not sure if it's linked to anywhere, but no, but that's something that I want to establish too, is being able to do it presently. But and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring up those points, man. It's sort of like these are the things we can do. Just try to make our own community as we can, just through our own work, just going online doing studies, just because it's neoliberalism is such a beast. It's destroying physical communities. Gentrification is knocking out, like, all of our historical places are gone, like Brooklyn or Harlem or any of these places. So it's like, community may also just have to be in a community of work that we do sometimes, like I said, the study groups and being out there in a movement. So, however we can do it and come together when we can,
Yeah, thanks, man.
For sure, man. Well, that's it. That's it for this meeting, man. And we're gonna get back to it on the second week. We're gonna talk about repatriation. Back to the constant. We're gonna go deeper into that subject. So come check us out.
All right, thanks everyone. Peace.